Previously on Foursquare Sports, we talked about Talercios for a good 90 seconds, and we made a reel on Instagram. Little did we know that Talercios, of all people, would like our reel. Thank you, Talercios. You the man. Give us a follow. You rock, Talercios. Now, we did this during fresh spreads, and apparently we got more lucky with fresh spreads than we thought. Here's some examples.
You know what? Panthers +3. Dream come true. I don't care.
And with no Lamar, I expect this game to be in the Rams' favor. Puka Nacua should ball out. Stafford should look fine. Kyron Williams should ball out. I'd say Rams win by a couple touchdowns.
Bills have question marks defensively. They can't stop the run. But I have to argue that this is even more of a trap game than the New England game in last week. But that's just how I feel personally. Give me the upset Falcons. Ooh.
And overall, we did pretty all right on fresh spreads this week, I would say. But anyway, enough reflecting. Let's start the show.
Oh, that's why.
What are you doing? The bank is open.
If I ever change the intro, I'm gonna have that clip of me saying Panthers +3. I don't care as my new clip of me in that intro. Anyways, welcome to Foursquare Sports, episode number 20, the early bird. And why is it called the early bird? Well, we're recording this on a Wednesday, and there's a reason why. Because a certain somebody's going to sweet old Alabama tomorrow, and I gotta get my stuff in. I've been running around like a chicken with my head cut off the last few days, but it's because I gotta get my stuff in. I gotta make sure that I'm clear for the trip to Alabama. So that way, when I'm watching Tennessee, Alabama, and when I'm eating collard greens or whatever they have in Alabama, I can relax. So, anyway, Matt Sirianni, Kevin Zolix, Alec Nava, John Walsh hopefully joins in soon. How are you, gentlemen?
Woo! Feeling the hockey spirit, of course.
I bet. How you doing, Kev?
I'm doing good. Obviously, an earlier week than expected for us, and like hopefully, like you and Sammy have a good time at the Alabama game tomorrow when all things are good and done. But still ready to get going. Still hoping for a great show, and let's get going.
We're gonna get right into it right away, and we're gonna start off with college football, and we're gonna get into the biggest story in college football, and this comes out of the Big Ten in Penn State University. James Franklin, their head coach, has been fired after several years with the program. The Penn State Nittany Lions started 3-0, and then after they lost their fourth game against Oregon in the whiteout game at home, one bump in the wheels fell off because then they lost to UCLA on the road in UCLA when they were 24.5-point favorite. Then they recently lost to Northwestern at home, and then they just pulled the trigger. Add to that the fact that James Franklin hasn't really won a big game since his tenure at Penn State. I think this had to be done. Now, the question is, and this is also another double whammy, Drew Aller, their starting quarterback, who was a projected top 10 pick in the 2026 draft, is out for the year with a leg injury. So things are not going right for the Penn State Nittany Lions right now. They're out of the playoff hunt. They're probably lost their ranking. It's just not going well right now. I got to get to Kevin first because he's probably reacting very appropriately to this. Kevin, what are your thoughts on what's unraveled in Penn State?
Yeah, it's just a very unfortunate situation for the Penn State Nittany Lions. I mean, like you said it. I mean, they started off like I think ranked second. I think in the preseason rankings.
Yeah.
They had high expectations coming into this season from how they finished last season and coming into this season. And then like that first loss, the first like big loss that they got against Oregon, losing 30-24 was like a big first test, and obviously they lost that game. But then losing on the road against unranked UCLA, like you're getting a little bit too concerned with that because you expect a team like the Penn State Nittany Lions to overcome an unranked team. And then to go from that and to losing the next game after that against Northwestern 22-21, that's 3 straight losses, 2 straight against unranked opponents. I mean, like I feel like the writing was on the wall for head coach James Franklin. And again, it's just a double whammy when you add into the fact that Drew Aller is going to miss the rest of the year. It's just a terrible situation for Penn State, and obviously, like they're out of the playoff picture right now, and like it doesn't get any easier for them. Whoever a head coach should decide to bring in, because I'm looking at their schedule right now, they got 3 more ranked opponents games coming up. They got a game against Ohio State, they got a game against ranked 3 Indiana, and they got one against Nebraska. So it's going to be tough sledding from here on out for Penn State, but it's obviously like a terrible situation.
It's a big concern. And obviously, I mentioned those Northwestern and UCLA losses. I mentioned the spread against UCLA. Against Northwestern, they were a 21-point favorite. So back-to-back games where they were a 20-plus point favorite, and they lost. Alex?
Man. Well, I'll give James Franklin credit for his tenure because he got Penn State into perennial bowl contention after coaching Vanderbilt to a bowl game, and he turned around this program to help them heal in the aftermath of the Jerry Sandusky scandal.
Yeah.
But when you have everything that you asked for, no excuses left, and you still underachieve after all this time, then you have to address the elephant in the room. The writing was on the wall after the losses to UCLA and Northwestern. It was not just a free game sample size. But James Franklin has had this inability to win the big one. He's 4-21 against top 10 opponents. The only time he's ever beaten a top 5 team was against Ohio State on a blocked field goal.
I remember that.
But I know in fairness, he does have a point about not having the same resources as Ohio State and Michigan. But Penn State was not as aggressive. And they didn't have as much cash arsenal as those 2 universities. And now you're faced with that dilemma. The pressure is now getting to him, especially after the UCLA and Northwestern losses. Faltering despite having a lot of resources, that's going to be the defining cause to move on from a coach like James Franklin. I wish him the best wherever he goes, but the writing was on the wall.
You brought up one good thing, and that was that in the Jerry Sandusky scandal, Penn State was kind of down in the dumps. He helped them heal. He got them back to prominence, if you will. And for what it's worth, he did get them back to the college football playoff semifinal. They did lose to Notre Dame on a terrible interception by Drew Aller, but you felt like things were going somewhere finally, and then this happens. And honestly, he was the fall guy. I hate to use that word, but he was the fall guy because Penn State was going to go nowhere again this year, and I think the athletic director of Penn State just had enough.
Yeah, especially when you have one of the more disappointing receiver rooms in the nation, which has been hampered by the absence of Tyler Warren because he was drafted by the Colts.
Right. And that's a big point too. I mean, Tyler Warren was their number one pass catcher last year. Everyone else came back from Penn State, or at least most of the people came back from Penn State. Losing Tyler Warren was huge. Losing Abdul Carter on the defensive side of the ball was also huge. So
thank you, by the way.
Thank you, Penn State. Thank you, Penn State. But in all seriousness, like it's a shame. It really is a shame because you felt this program was finally turning around, and it just hasn't happened. And it will not happen for probably another couple of years until they get their act together. Until then, Ohio State and Indiana look like they're going to run the Big Ten this year. And Oregon's probably going to be a sneaky contemporary option. So that's where the Big Ten is right now. You'd figure Penn State would be in there, but unfortunately, that's not going to be the case.
Well, if there's any solace for Penn State, well, at least Gavin McKenna looks good in hockey.
Yeah, he does. That's one thing they can take pride in, at least. Now, another story I want to get into, and this is actually kind of embarrassing. It's been one season, not even one season, of the North Carolina Bill Belichick experiment. And already there are rumors going on that Bill Belichick wants to buy out of his contract with North Carolina and go back to the NFL. It's not looking good in North Carolina right now. It's been bad. It's been really, really bad. Getting blown out by opponents like Clemson, getting blown out by TCU to begin the year, not good. And honest to God, I think that Bill Belichick's best days are behind him as a coach. I think the last thing he wants to do is go out like this, knowing him for as long as we have known him. If he gets a job in the NFL, that's going to be a fight to get back to the NFL because I think Robert Kraft kind of ruined his reputation already. Kevin, what do you make of what happened with Belichick in North Carolina? And is there any way he can get out of this?
I mean, obviously, like with the guys that he talks to, I'm sure there's a way out of it, like buyout options or what have you. But you already got a bad vibe from the get-go from like Bill Belichick and his tenure in UNC with his whole like girlfriend drama and situations like behind the scenes and all that. So you already got kind of like a negative vibe, and then I see the actual product on the field, and it's just not good. It really isn't. I mean, like you get all of this TV time to play and coach the Tar Heels, and you just put on a terrible product on the field. Like everything looks just bad. And I don't blame Belichick one bit for wanting to try to get out of there, to try to save the reputation that he has. I mean, if he does go try to get a job in the NFL, like maybe he would do good with like a team that can maybe develop more. Like I know the Titans just fired Brian Callahan, so
they
spot
did
open there. And you got to figure that Bengals are probably going to fire Zach Taylor at some point. You got to figure that the Dolphins are probably going to fire Mike McDaniel at some point. So there's jobs that are available, but at least we know that the Titans are available right now. So he has options if he wants to go to the NFL. But if he wants to retire, I don't think anyone can blame him. But at the same time, I mean, trying to coach a college team that has historically not been good for years now. So, and the way he coached it, I just think it was something that he didn't envision. And I just think he really wanted to just grab the money and just run, to be perfectly honest with you.
That's a good way to put it. Also, you mentioned another job that could possibly be open, the Browns, Kevin Stefanski, where Bill Belichick's actual head coaching tenure began back in 1991. He started his coaching career with the Browns before going to the Patriots. So it's actually fun. There's a lot of ways he can go about this. And it all depends on what Stephen Ross and owners like Jimmy Haslam, owners like that, like you've got to know what they're thinking in their heads before they even make these decisions. And I know we have one North Carolina native in here. I can only imagine what he's thinking right now after seeing a highly touted program coming into the season fall flat on their face.
To think that had some interest in going to a UNC football game at one point this year. Well, that's not happening anymore.
No.
That's not even happening in the slightest. Because what was once arguably the most celebrated hire in college football, that's looking like the most regrettable hire for circumstances in and out of his control. With the NFL, he can only focus on coaching. But in the NCAA, you're tasked with recruiting talent to the school you're at. This is a reverse Nick Saban, because Saban was good at college, not in the NFL.
No.
Whereas as with Belichick, he's good in the NFL, but the NCAA, that's something that's he is going to have to get used to an entirely new environment. And so far, we have not seen that happen. And especially given his age, it feels like his best days are way behind him. That he saved his best with the Patriots, with Tom Brady. That these two go hand in hand. But now we're seeing Belichick do something that is clearly out of his comfort zone, and clearly the lights are too bright for him. And when looking at his contract, it feels like he's trapped. He has his own buyout to leave, which would cost him about $1 million were he to voluntarily exit. But if he doesn't have an opportunity to coach in the NFL, or after this experience he had college, then where's he going to go? I think the only place he has left is retirement, in my opinion. So personally, he's trapped.
Pretty much. I mean, there are coaches out there that just can't coach at the collegiate level, because it's not only just like, the players that you got to worry about. You also got to worry about alumni, parents, teachers, faculty, whatever. Like, there's a whole bunch that goes into the college ranks. There are coaches who can do both, like Pete Carroll, And then there are other coaches who are just good at one or the other. It doesn't go both ways. Like I said, Pete Carroll like the only one that actually nailed both. Because he's a former national champion at USC, and he won a Super Bowl with the Seahawks, and he was in a playoff contender team for the Seahawks for a long time. So,
Yep.
like that's the crazy thing about it. When you look at like a lot of these coaches, they flop in one place and then they thrive in another. But I like that you mentioned Nick Saban because Nick Saban is considered the greatest coach in college history. But he had 2 seasons with the Dolphins where he just absolutely disintegrated.
Yeah. And in a more recent case, I know he was an offensive coordinator with the Buckeyes last year, Chip Kelly, who succeeded with the Buckeyes, but he was a total flop in the NFL.
He was. That's a good one. I didn't think about that one. And then there are other guys
Matt Rule was a flop too. Remember him?
Matt Rule.
Yes. Matt Rule was a flop with the Panthers.
Wow.
Yeah, he was not good with the Panthers. But Nebraska right now, I think it's a different story.
Yeah.
Oh. With I can't believe it's not Patrick Mahomes, also known as Dylan Raiola.
It's funny that I can't believe it's not Patrick Mahomes. All right, so anyway, we do have a lot of unbeaten that left in Division One, that 11 to be exact. And what I want to do is go over our 11 undefeateds, and we pick who stands out the most and who is kind of where we predicted. So those 11 unbeatens that are left in Division One are the Indiana Hoosiers, the BYU Cougars, Texas Tech Red Raiders, Miami Hurricanes, Georgia Tech Yellow Jackets, Memphis Tigers, UNLV, Navy Midshipmen, Ohio State Buckeyes, Ole Miss Rebels, and Texas A&M Aggies. So, 11. And the fact that I'm saying Navy is unbeaten is actually kind of hysterical because we had this same thing with Army last year where they were unbeaten and then they ran into Notre Dame and then they got their butts kicked at Yankee Stadium. So, probably not going to go with Navy as my standout undefeated, but if I were to ask both of you, I'm going to start with Alec first. Who is your standout unbeaten so far this season?
I think we talked a lot about Texas Tech so far. So since you shift over focus from one Texas team, I'm going to the other Texas team, Texas A&M.
Okay.
They were climbing the ladder in the college football landscape, and they've been phenomenal in the SEC. It's year 2 of Mike Elko, and it's been a lot more memorable. Mario Craver, he's their standout wideout, and Trey Zune is a human wrecking ball on that offensive line. Craver's the SEC leader in receiving yards, and he's averaging 19.8 yards per reception. It's already passed Noah Thomas's team-leading yardage from last year. And on the defensive side, this is their specialty. Torian York has been top 10 in the conference in tackles, and Cassius Howell leads the SEC in sacks. But going back to the offense, Zune and that unit, they're giving Marcel Reed a lot of time to make his decisions in the pocket, and the ground game is firing on all cylinders. So Texas A&M, they could be back.
They're very much well-rounded. They're a very well-rounded team on paper and definitely on the field. They play in a really tough conference, but the fact that they're only one of 2 unbeaten in that conference, like I thought Georgia was going to be unbeaten at this point in the year. Not the case because they lost to Alabama, who's got a big game that I'm actually going to. But Ole Miss and Texas A&M, who would have thought those 2 teams would be unbeaten in the SEC up to this point? That's actually kind of mind-boggling for me.
Or even Indiana. It's time to give Kurt Signetti his flowers.
Agreed. 100% agree. And you know what? Before I come to Kevin, I got to say, my standout of the unbeaten has to be Indiana. And you want to know why? Yeah. Because last year, this program was seen as a Cinderella, that they were riding a wave of momentum, and that they were just lucky to be there and happy to be there in the playoff. And then they got blown out by Notre Dame. And they were like, oh, they'll never perform like this ever again. Well, they proved everyone wrong. They're one of the best teams in the Big Ten right now. And you know what? This might cost you a punishment. I think Indiana could win the Big Ten. Guaranteed.
I'll write that down.
Our first guaranteed, huh?
Our first guarantee of the college football season.
First guarantee in a long time. But
yes.
Indiana could win the Big Ten. And you want to know why? Because let's say they finish with the top 2 record in that conference. They got to go to Indianapolis to play potentially Ohio State. And that's going to be like a home game for them. And Indiana, they're good. Like Fernando Mendoza has thrown 17 touchdowns and only 2 interceptions this year. The ground game and the defense are working like wildfire. Like I think everything that Kurt Signetti has employed into this Indiana program has been fantastic. And you can't not commend them for what they've done. Between last year and this year so far, they're brilliant.
Oh, yeah.
Absolutely.
It's amazing, this turnaround from the Hoosiers.
Although I do got to give a little bit of some respect to Georgia Tech, because Georgia Tech kind of came out of nowhere. I know they lost that heartbreaking loss to Georgia at the end of last season. And we were watching that game, the 2-point conversion contest that went to like the 6th or 7th overtime. I forget how long it went. But
8 overtimes.
8 overtimes. Jeez. And they hung in there. They had 2 touchdown lead on Georgia at one point. But they basically took that aggravation from last year and brought it into this year. And they're one of the top 2 teams in the ACC.
Mm-hmm.
And with a roster that not a lot of people know about. Sorry to cut you off, Kevin, but who is your standout program so far this year, if you had to pick one?
I mean, you kind of spoiled it. I was going to say Georgia Tech as well. I mean, this was a team that last year, you talked about that Georgia game. They also had like a lot of close games with some of the top teams. I think they had a few upsets thrown in there. And they're sitting atop of the ACC right now, tied with, the likes of Virginia and Duke right now. And Miami's still in the mix in that conference. But this was a team that nobody saw coming. And nobody expected this team to be as good as they're doing right now, being ranked 12 right now. And getting good. That first win against Clemson, I think, really impressed me. And then they were able to squeak out a win against Wake Forest back when they were still ranked in the beginning of the year. And now they knocked them out into unranked, and then a good win against Virginia Tech. I really like the turnaround of this Georgia Tech program, and I think they could honestly be a big dark horse when it comes to the college football playoffs. And I think they've absolutely earned it in a tough conference, in the same conference where it has both Virginia and Miami in it. And you guys know that I think I alluded to this last episode. I was saying with John that I wouldn't be surprised if Miami were to win it all. But I also wouldn't be shocked if Georgia Tech gave Miami a run for their money, because I think Georgia Tech has shown this year that they are that good of a football team, and I think they deserve to be recognized.
Absolutely. I mean, the ACC, admittedly, is not that strong this year. It's really just Miami and Georgia Tech as a contemporary option. Realistically, I can see both these teams making the playoff. Now, the one problem I have with the new playoff format, it remains 12 teams, but now you don't have to be a conference champion to get a top 4 seed and get a bye, which kind of irks me a little bit, because I think the politics of Alabama last year irked the NCAA, and they were like, okay, how can we get Alabama into the top 12 this upcoming season? And they're like, okay, eliminate conference championship automatic bids. Let's do that. Like that pissed me off, because to me, a conference championship should automatically give you some type of reward, being a bye to the quarterfinals. So you could be we could realistically see 2 or 3 teams in that top 4 in the top 12 at the end of the year. We could realistically see Oregon, Ohio State, and Indiana in that top 4, and they'd all get buys. And Alec, I think he's in disbelief about that.
Yeah, brother, Alabama wasn't even that good last year.
No. They weren't that good. They lost to Oklahoma 24-3.
Look, spare us the strength of schedule arguments. When you lose to Oklahoma, who was 6-6 that year, you don't deserve a playoff spot.
100%. 100%.
Absolutely.
And I think, like I said, this is the NCAA trying to make everybody happy, and by everybody, the big market teams in college. But either way, it's not that good enough for me, to be honest with you. Now, as far as unbeaten that we're not too shocked about, for me, I got to go with our defending national champions. Ohio State is beyond stacked. Jeremiah Smith is unbelievable. The quarterback play is solid. And I think the weight has finally been lifted off of Ryan Day's shoulders to the point where now he can coach freely without that immense pressure on him. And this Ohio State team is awesome. They're awesome. I think they're going to be a dark horse in the playoff. I think they're going to face Indiana in the Big Ten championship. But like I said, I think Indiana wins it. Alex, who do you think is kind of not big of a surprise?
I think you spilled the beans right there with Ohio State. It's easily done.
Okay, Kevin, same thing?
Yeah, same thing, pretty much. I think we kind of expected this from Ohio State from winning last year. And to come out the way they're doing right now, undefeated, I don't think it's a big surprise to anyone.
Yeah.
That's fair. That's fair. Look at me. I can read your guys' minds pretty well.
Oh.
I can read your guys' minds. Well, amazingly, we have been doing shows together for almost about a year, which is kind of crazy.
Yeah, crazy. Huh?
Yeah.
I remember we were doing a show once called Sports Symposium almost a year ago, and we kind of started when I took the reins of that one. That's crazy, man.
Mm-hmm.
That's
I forgot how many
Let's touch
episodes we actually did of that. I
What's
think
up?
it was close to like 30 or something. I'm trying to
What's up,
remember how
buddy?
many episodes we did before. Yeah.
I think it was
32.
32.
We did 32, and this is 20. Oh my God, 52. 52 weeks in a year.
So it is. So it is 52 episodes.
What?
I think it's been a full year.
I think it's been a full year.
Oh wow. Okay. I didn't even notice.
That's
Time
crazy,
flies when you're
man.
having fun,
That's
huh?
Dude,
crazy.
so happy anniversary-ish.
Yeah.
I guess. I didn't know it's been a year already.
That's nuts, actually, when you think about it. Oh my God.
Very.
Wow. Anyway, back to the college stuff here. As mentioned before, I will be in Alabama this upcoming weekend, so I will be going to the Alabama-Tennessee game. Excited about that, but one of the things we want to do, and this is not fresh spreads related, but it is kind of fresh spreads related, we're going to pick our standout games this week in Week 8. And we need to pick 3 of them each. So, we're going to start off with Alec here. What are your 3 standout games in Week 8?
All right, so my 3 standout games over Week 8. Surprisingly, the one I'm starting off with is not an SEC game because we're going over towards the mountainside. Well, the Rocky Mountains, where it's Utah and BYU. And
Wow.
the late slate and the 8 o'clock on Saturday. So that's one of my first of 3. Kind of an underrated one, if you're asking me. Then the second one, in which I'm going to, is USC and Notre Dame. We'll see if Notre Dame is the real deal or if they're just a product of their week schedule. USC should give them a test, though. But it's going to be close. Now, the last one is this last one is LSU and Vanderbilt. Vanderbilt has been good this year. And LSU, we know what to expect from them with Garrett Nussmeier. They've been picking up the pace.
Those are 3 really good options. I mentioned LSU Vanderbilt before we came on, that was going to be one of my sneaky games of the week. So now I'm going to go on to Kevin. Kevin, what are your 3 standout games of Week 8?
So my first one is Oklahoma against South Carolina. And I'm interested in that game for a couple of reasons. Number one, we knew how good South Carolina was to start the year. They were ranked at one point, and now they're unranked. And Oklahoma has set themselves a nice season so far, and they're ranked 14. So I'm curious to see if South Carolina can bounce back and beat an unranked opponent like Oklahoma. So I want to see how Lenore Sellers develops in that game and see if he can bounce back. So that's my first game. My second game is Ole Miss against Georgia. I feel like that's kind of an obvious one because Georgia has always been good. And Ole Miss has been surprisingly good, even with losing some players in the NFL this past year. Thank you for Jackson Dart, by the way. And so Ole Miss and Georgia. And my third one, now I keep track of my conferences. So I'm really interested to see that Texas Tech and Arizona State game because I know how good Texas Tech is. I mean, I've seen it firsthand. They were able to beat my UH Cougars. Arizona State, they were ranked and now they're unranked right now. So I want to see if they're the real deal as well. Because I know that UH versus Arizona State in a couple weeks, not this next week, they verse Arizona, then they verse Arizona State. And if they verse Arizona State, then UH will be 3-1 in the conference. So there'll only be a game behind of Texas Tech if that were to be the case. So I want to see exactly how things shake up. So I'm interested in that Tech again in Arizona State game.
I like it. Okay. Now, my 3 games, I'm going to start off with one that we mentioned. This is our standout teams. I'm going to say Georgia Tech at Duke. So Duke is a 1.5 point dog at home, a 1.5 point favorite at home against Georgia Tech, which I find really astounding because Georgia Tech has been playing some really outstanding football so far this year. But I guess people at Georgia Tech are thinking that this is a big litmus test for them on the road against a conference opponent that's pretty good. Duke's not fantastic. They're not world beaters, but they are a well-balanced program. So I guess this is a big test for Georgia Tech. That's my first standout game. My second standout game is, again, I got to go with a SEC matchup, Texas A&M versus Arkansas. Why? Because Arkansas took Tennessee to the limit last week, and they almost beat them. And Texas A&M, we mentioned they're a really good program so far this year. They're 6-0. And these SEC games can be really tricky sometimes because The conference is so stacked from top to bottom that you can only imagine that maybe, just maybe, that there's someone due for an upset. I think it could be Arkansas upsetting Texas A&M. My third game I'm picking, and this is the game I'm going to. I'm going to Tennessee, Alabama, the third Saturday of October. So this is a big matchup for both teams. They both already have one loss on the schedule already, and I think that whoever loses this is out of top 12 range already. I think Alabama, this is a bigger game for them to win than Tennessee, because Alabama started the season off losing to Florida State. That put them far behind. At one point, almost kicked them off the rankings. Tennessee lost to Georgia, a more competent football team. So I think that if Alabama were to lose this one, I think that hurts them more. If Tennessee were to lose, they can still get back in it, but they can ill afford any breathing room. So those are my three standout games. And as far as college football is concerned, that's pretty much what we got. I mean, we're a half hour in. That's actually crazy. But week 8 should always be a little bit fun. College football is great. And what's actually good about with baseball winding down, we can get more into college football, which I actually like, because college is pretty heated this year. A lot of upsets, a lot of drama, a lot of shining stars that we didn't expect to shine this year. And it also gives us a little bit of perspective to look further into the 2026 draft, because the quarterback class this year is supposed to be really good, led by Fernando Mendoza. We were supposed to get Drew Aller as the number 1 overall pick, but since he broke his leg, he might not be draft eligible. He might have to use a red shirt year. And then you got other guys like, I think Carson Beck at Miami has been doing really well. And then obviously, they got Ty Simpson at Alabama. He's been playing really well. The last quarterback under Nick Saban that was recruited. So this quarterback class is really interesting.
Can't wait to see how it goes.
It really should be interesting to see how the rest of this goes. So now we're going to go into Major League Baseball. I know it's dwindling down little by little, but we got to get into it because we got a lot to get into. So, as mentioned before, we are part of KXP. Thank you for the background, Chase Kev. As we mentioned, we are part of KXP 102.3, the Island Experience in Washington State, which is near Seattle. Thank you, John Welch, for hooking us up with that. Alec and I picked the Mariners to win the ALCS in 7 games, but it doesn't look like it's going to go 7 games. If you watch the 2 first games in Toronto, Seattle came out swinging. Game 1 to me was even more impressive because they ended that game 5 against Detroit at 1:00 in the morning Eastern time. And then they had to go less than 36 hours, play that game against Toronto in Toronto, and they pulled off 3-1. And then Trey Savage comes in, one of the more dominant rookie pitchers of this season, and then as a guy from the weatherman from Anchorman goes, a bunch of whammy in game 2.
Oh man, we know that the Blue Jays bullpen was going to have question marks, but I didn't imagine it being like this. I mean, the same Blue Jays bullpen that shut down the Yankees in Game 4 just let up a 10 spot against the Mariners. Now, granted, 3 of the runs were on a home run by Julio Rodriguez, but the other 7, oh boy, man, who would have seen this breakdown coming from the Blue Jays bullpen? Now, I know Toronto's riding off a magical season, but this still has me having question marks about John Schneider and with the Blue Jays bullpen. Because the one question I have is, do they have enough pitching-wise? Because that was going to be the primary concern. The Mariners are the complete package all around. Of course, Toronto has the advantage on the bats, but the Mariners are the more well-rounded team. And I feel that's coming to light in this series. And it's not just Cal Raleigh. You think of Julio Rodriguez. You think of Jorge Polanco's having the postseason of his life.
Yeah.
He is what wins a championship if Seattle were to pull this off this year. Josh Naylor is who you think of. Gino Suarez is who you think of. But most underrated of all, the career years of some of their relievers, such as Edward Bazardo, Carson Vargas, Emerson Hancock, and Gabe Spire. They're having career years from this bullpen. Oh, yeah. Los Bomberos are back.
Los Bomberos. Like such a very, very well-rounded team. And
yeah.
I think we give a lot of flock to Cal Raleigh, but even in the playoffs, he's playing out of his mind. Batting 381 in the postseason. And I know people were saying, oh, well, he batted 247 in the regular season. If you can bat 381 in the playoffs and you're playing awesome baseball, and what's amazing to me is that 15-inning game, he was the starting catcher. You know how tough it is to play catcher, especially in a 15-inning game?
And you know how tough it is to have no passed balls in an entire season?
No, not one passed ball all season long.
And I know people are upset that he was left off the Gold Glove awards list, but honestly, just give him the Platinum Glove right now.
Yeah, or the Silver Slugger if he's eligible. Because Silver Slugger, I think he deserves.
He does deserve it. Silver Slugger, Platinum Glove. How about you give them both to him?
Or, and I hate to say this to Kevin, you might have to be MVP. I think he's AL MVP material. Possibly. I know, Kevin. I know.
I have a lot to say on that AL MVP race, but that's for another day. But I won't get into it right now.
Yeah. Say that for another.
I'm surprised you both brought up MVP, considering that last year was on the Bobby Wood Jr. train for MVP.
Right. That's a good point. Bobby Wood Jr. had a massive season last year. Aaron Judge ran away with it, though. This year's going to be way closer than many people expected. And now, I think that with the other NLCS, first off, when we were watching the NLCS last episode, we gave a shout out to our good friend, the Fighting Lily Schumacher, who was damn proud to see the Brewers win. And then we also are proud to see another person crumble. We're not going to mention that person's name because we don't want to start drama with anybody. But last thing we want to do is to start drama. Why would we?
Oh, why would we ever?
We're nice guys. We don't want to start drama with anybody. Not like that guy. Ooh, me? Yeah, you stand on there all smiling and whatnot. Someone will teach you some manners. I'm just kidding. Although in real life, I once was a world championship kickboxer.
Oh, man.
Had to sneak one in there. I had to sneak one in there.
Oh, SpongeBob.
Always have to.
Yep. But anyway, the NLCS is looking like the same story, although it's not as big of a blowout and as lopsided as it was in the ALCS. Game 1, they started Aaron Ashby, the Brewers did, and then Quinn Priester came on the mound. It was a pitcher's duel game 1. Blake Snell went 8 scoreless innings, and then the only real run they got in game 1, the Dodgers, was a Freddie Freeman home run. And then the Brewers walked another run to make it 2-0. And then the Brewers were faced with Roki Sasaki in the 9th inning of game 1. Sasaki could not find the strike zone. And then the Brewers got a run in. And then
fly from Jackson Churio.
A fly from Jackson Churio. And then Bryce Terang, runners on second and third, chance to take the lead, strikes out some high cheese, and the Dodgers escaped. That was game 1.
I know, Kevin.
I couldn't believe that. I'm like, how are you chasing a pitch that's way above in the stratosphere? That's a little league mistake, Bryce Terang. Blake Trinan, like, we know how shaky he can be, and this Dodgers bullpen can be sus. But Blake Trinan is lucky that Bryce Terang chased that as high as he did, because Brewers were threatening on the Bates Pats in that bottom of the 9th inning in game 1. So Trinan consider himself lucky there.
Yeah, I would agree with that 100%. And
also, Blake Trinan is also lucky that pitch didn't hit Bryce Terang, because Terang got out the way.
He did
on a pitch that it almost was about to hit him, and somewhere Chase Utley has to be shaking his head.
That would have tied the game too.
Yeah,
it would have.
Yeah,
that's crazy. So then, game 2 comes around. A little bit of a different story. Again, Jackson Churio led the game off with a home run, 1-0, and then the Brewers couldn't score after that, and the Dodgers just kept pounding away. Teoscar Hernandez, and then Andy Pages, and all the Dodgers just came out to hit. and then they scored 5 runs. It was 5-1 in game 2. So now, so much for home field advantage for both the Brewers and the Blue Jays. So now the Blue Jays got to go to Seattle. It's going to be crazy loud in there.
Yeah.
Like, it'll be like Lumen Field at T-Mobile Park tonight.
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
And then the Brewers got to go back to Dodger Stadium. That crowd will not be as loud because this is the defending World Series champions. But the Dodger fans are going to try and do everything they can to play a factor. So, Kevin, I'm going to come to you first. Between the Brewers and the Blue Jays, who disappointed most in those first 2 home games?
I mean, I think that the more disappointing one, in my opinion, I think would have to be the Blue Jays, because the Blue Jays, they've had one of the better home records, if not the best home record, throughout the course of this entire season. Like, when they're right at home, they're near unbeatable. And Seattle just said, all right, bet. And then they literally put the bats where it counted the most to do what they've been doing in game 1 after that 15-inning thriller against the Detroit Tigers in game 5, to come out like with barely any rest at all, and to do that on the road in Toronto was damn impressive. And for the Blue Jays, I thought that like they were gonna fight all the way through, and like it just wasn't the case. They didn't have the timely hitting. They didn't have the pitching come from their bullpen. We said when Randy came on that the biggest weakness was this Toronto Blue Jays bullpen, and it came to fruition, obviously, in those first couple of games. I mean, the bullpen just wasn't sharp, and Toronto's gonna have to figure it out in Seattle, because and the Brewers as well. I mean, like, if you go down 3-0 in a series like that, I mean, you can pretty much tell your season goodbye, because there's only been the one time that a team has come back 3-0, and I don't want to mention the team's name because it involves my team. But I digress. But yeah, if you're Toronto or Milwaukee, you can't lose next game. You can't lose game 3. If I'm Toronto, like, I would just try to find a different game plan pitching wise. I would like to see the starters like go a little bit more, because I know Gossman only went 5 and then 2/3 innings, and for game 2, who was it? It was Trey Savage, and I don't understand he's a rookie. And he only pitched 4 innings, so you're not getting a lot of length out of your starters if you're Toronto 1. The bullpen's already suspect too. The hitting has not been hitting the Seattle Mariners starters. Like, both Logan Gilbert and Bryce Miller have pitched outstanding in game 1 and games 1 and game 2. The bullpen for Seattle was also outstanding. We knew that the pitching overall was a strength for Seattle, like, consistently, even before the offensive acquisitions that they made. But now when you factor in guys like Naylor, Arozarena, Polanco. By the way, I got to give Jorge Polanco a big shout out, because he has been the big X factor and the secret weapon for the Seattle Mariners. Every World Series team has that one guy that has that one X factor, and this year for the Mariners so far has been Jorge Polanco. He has delivered in ways that I don't think anybody has saw coming. Like, he has been so clutch with his timely hitting. And, like, without Jorge Polanco, they don't even win the first game, because Polanco got 2 out of 3 of those RBIs driven in. And Polanco, again, just continues to rake. In game 2, he had that big homer to break the tie and make it go 6-3. And the Mariners kind of sparked from there. And, like, the way that he's approached hitting is, like, something I really love to see. So, for me, I think the Blue Jays are definitely more disappointing. Now, with the Brewers, like, I would say a little bit less so, because this is the Dodgers. They are the defending champions for a reason. And, like, for the Brewers, like, this is the furthest you made in a long time. And if you're going to figure it out in Dodger Stadium in a hostile environment, what you have to do is what you've been doing all year. You have to have your starters have length. You have to have some timely hitting. You have to be clever on the base pass, just like how the Dodgers have done. And you've got to get yourselves on base. Like, if you can't get to Snell and Yamamoto earlier than that, and just a big credit to Snell and Yamamoto for going as long as they did, and just how dominant both of them were. And, like, if it weren't up to the bullpen in game 1, if they were able to get to the bullpen earlier, I think Brewers could have won game 1. Unfortunately, that just wasn't the case here. But, like, if you're Brewers, you got to get to the starters much quicker than that. We know that Tyler Glass now is going to start game 3, and Ohtani's going game 4. So, like, it's getting easier from here if you're Milwaukee. But if you're going to get at a guy, I think Glasnow could be the guy to get after to get yourselves on the board in this series, because Ohtani, we've seen that he can be a bit hit or miss pitching wise.
Yeah.
I know he's coming back from his injury from his throwing arm, but you got to think that if you're the Brewers, to give yourselves a chance, because Snell and Yamamoto are a different story when it comes to like how long that they can go pitching wise and at what their stuff is. So like I would say, so all in all, the Blue Jays, I think, were the more disappointing team.
I think you make a really good point with the bullpen for the Blue Jays, because this Seattle offense is really, really strong on a lot of fronts. You know, we mentioned how historic of a season Cal Raleigh had, but look at Julio Rodriguez, how well he's been doing. And then look at other guys like Josh Naylor stealing bases, slowest guy on the team and oldest guy on the team. Randy Arozarena is still producing. And then we mentioned Jorge Polanco, how much of a great contributor he's been to this Mariners team. But they've been getting blown out. Think of it. This was a team that was coming off a 15-inning game, and they had to go through a quick, less than 2-day turnaround.
Yeah,
and they beat the Blue Jays in Toronto, and then beat them 10-3 the next day. Like, that's crazy.
Mm-hmm.
That's so impressive to think of.
It really is. Now, as far as the Brewers go, I get it. I mean, the Dodgers are the defending world champions, and they can be intimidating seeing Shohei Ohtani at the dish. It can be intimidating seeing Mookie Betts at the dish. Teoscar Hernandez can come out of nowhere. But the thing with this team is that, like, the Brewers are supposed to be the team that does a little bit of everything well. Although the starters for the Dodgers have gone 8 innings, 7 innings even, and it's crazy. But when you're not hitting, this is what happens.
Yep.
You just both Snell and Yamamoto are making the Brewers look outmatched at the plate. I mean, everyone's getting outmatched, and it's finding the lights too bright for them. I mean, Yamamoto yesterday, he finished a complete game, the first of the playoffs since Verlander in 2017, and the first for the Dodgers in 21 years when Jose Lima did that. That's history right there. But the Brewers, they looked completely outmatched at every front. After that Jackson Chourio home run, they just had 2 hits the rest of the game. That's how dominant Yamamoto was. But at the same time, it brings back the question, can a team that lacks power bats win a championship? That answer every day is trending more towards no, because the Dodgers, they're the perfect mix. Power and fundamentals blended on the bats.
That's very strongly said, because the Brewers, I think, are also lacking experience. They haven't been at a stage this big since 2018. Ironically, against a similar opponent. Last time the Brewers got to the NLCS was against the Dodgers, but different time, different rosters, different philosophies.
Yeah. At that time, Christian Yelich was playing outfield, and Corey Seager, who was on the team at that time, he was hurt.
Yeah.
That's
right.
correct. That's correct. So, Alec, would you agree with Kevin that the Blue Jays are more the disappointment than the Brewers are?
I think this is no question about it. From the start of which this matchup was revealed, the Dodgers and Brewers, there was the feeling that this was going to be a quick series with the Dodgers winning. Seattle and Toronto, we expected to be a lot closer than what we just saw. And Toronto was easily the biggest disappointment.
All right. That's fair to say. I like that. I mean, we all know each other that well. But anyway, now we're going to get into the NHL. We have 12 minutes before we get to the bottom of the hour. I want to get into the NHL really quick. The Buffalo Sabres are 0-3 right now. They have more losses than goals scored. They have lost 4-0, 3-0, 3-1, 3-1. They have lost 0-3. And Sabre fans, God bless you, because you have the longest active playoff drought in the NHL. Longest active playoff drought amongst all 4 major sports, tied with the New York Jets. Now, as far as the Sabres go, Alec, I can only imagine what you have on your mind for this team and what's wrong, but go ahead.
It starts from the top with roster construction. Yes, they trade away JT Peterka, but you don't get a first-round pick in return for that. I get Josh Doan and Michael Kesselring, but no first-round picks? I mean, you started out 0-3-0 and scoring just 2 goals to begin the year. That might be the world record for the quickest vibe crash in a single sports team. The asset mismanagement of the team should have Kevin Adams fired on the spot. Somehow he's lasted 6 years, which is a lot longer than what he thought he was gonna. And there's this constant philosophy in Buffalo that they're 1 or 2 moves away from making the playoffs. Be serious.
Yeah.
Be serious with your philosophy and be serious with your expectations. Oh, and Lindy Ruff's coaching staff was all retained despite the last year's shortcomings. And the early signs of this power play are very alarming. They were middling last year, but to start the year, they're 0 for 11 on the man advantage. The same problems that plagued them are still here. Ineffective on zone entries, bad at moving the puck, sluggish in transition plays. They're allowing opponents to get into their god-awful defensive structure. Nothing they're doing offensively works, and that leads to a long stretch of low-danger shots. You know what their best player is with 3 games? Alex Lyon, their backup goaltender. Not Tage Thompson, not Rasmus Dahlin, not Alex Tuck. Alex Lyon has been their best player this season. He should not be. At the end of the day, Adams is most at fault, but Lindy Ruff is also past his prime, and his best days are clearly behind him. This is inexcusable from Buffalo, and I know there's a cycle of slow start, fast finish in Buffalo, but there's a realistic chance that the Sabres could finish as the worst team in the league this year. And given where they're at, I assure you there's no other GM candidate willing to come to the Sabres to repair this mess. So that means the only realistic GM candidate has to come from within. You know who? Jarmo Kekalainen.
Wow. That's astounding to me. And I think I can see where you're going with that, because I think the Blackhawks, after their initial game against the Panthers on opening night, the Blackhawks look like they're trending in the right direction. I want to see Connor Bedard actually shine and break through this year, because last year was a massive disappointment. But the Blackhawks look like they can get better. The Buffalo Sabres, on the other hand, longest active playoff drought amongst all 4 major sports, bad roster construction, lifeless fan base. Like, it's all recipe for disaster.
It is. All around. No sugarcoating.
Not at all. Kevin, now I want to get into the Devils for a second. The Devils, what have they been doing right so far this year?
Well, I think one thing that they've done so far this year that I've really liked to see is their secondary scoring is definitely a lot better. Like with the acquisitions of getting guys like Connor Brown in here, Cody Glass, the latter part of last year, he's looked really good. And this one kid I really like this year is Artemi Gritsuk. He's been a really nice, fresh young face in here that I think the Devils could really use on the back end of their scoring. Markstrom picks up right where he left off. And I know that we just locked down Luke Hughes, the brother of Jack Hughes, for
Yes.
8 years. So the two Hughes brothers are here to stay. I really like what they're doing defensively. They're just attacking the puck every single possession, every single shift change. They looked really impressive on the road against Tampa Bay, against the Lightning. They beat them 5-3. And then they can kind of continue that in the next game on the road against Columbus. And I think I've kind of said this over the years. I feel like the Devils are one of those teams that can really beat any team in the league if they don't get in their own way. Because last season, a big problem for the Devils was their penalty kill unit was very strong, but sometimes they were kind of hit or miss on the power play. They looked really strong to start off the year like they always do. Then they kind of fizzle out towards the end. And I think their backup goalie, Jake Gallen, he's looked good and bad so far. I think I like what he did that last game against Columbus. He got hurt in the second period, and then Markstrom had to come in the third period, and he did great. I think our defense, is much improved, especially with Jonas Siegenthaler now finally healthy. I also think that's another big thing for the Devils. It's health. Like if you can remain healthy when the postseason comes, and I think you can give yourselves a real shot. I think because we know when Jack Hughes went down, the season kind of like they were trying hard to try to get themselves in a playoff position, but they just really couldn't at that point.
Yeah.
They did get to the playoffs, but losing in the first round against Carolina, I think was a foregone conclusion at that point. You need your best players in there, and Jack Hughes is definitely like the franchise player for this organization. And also, I didn't even mention that guy from Dallas that they brought in, Dadonov. We haven't even seen him play yet, so I'm curious to see how he comes into the forefront for the chemistry of the team. And also, yeah, the Devils, I feel like they have the ability to go deep in the postseason if they get there. They just got to remain healthy. But I think the one hurdle that they can't get past is Carolina.
Yeah.
Carolina has been strong against the Devils like pretty much every season. And we've seen it in the regular season, in the postseason. And in the first game, you saw that they kept it close against Carolina, but then Carolina ended up winning 6-3 in the opener. So I have confidence that this team can go. They're heading in the right direction for now. But I really like the new acquisitions that we got. And hopefully they can have a better chance moving forward, because their schedule for the rest of this month is not easy, guys. Like, let me just read you off like their next 7 games for the rest of this month. So their home opener is against the Panthers, and then right after that is another home game against the Oilers. So both the Stanley Cup finalists they got in their first 2 home games. Then they go on the road against the Maple Leafs, then back home against the Wild, the Sharks, and then they face Colorado back-to-back, starting at home first, then on the road, and then they face the Sharks again, and then at the Kings. So it doesn't get any easy to start out for the Devils, but it'll be a big litmus test for them to start off the season. Can they start off strong like they did last season against higher tier competition? So we're going to see. But so far, like, I'm liking where this team is going.
The team looks really good on paper. I think they play very, very well. Now, one thing I will definitely say is that in the Metro division, if Carolina didn't exist, they take the Metro all the way.
I think so too.
Carolina is just too good. Like,
Keandre Miller, man.
Yeah, that was a difference maker. You're welcome.
Him and Ehlers.
Oh, Ehlers will get on the goal sheet one day. He and Aho are building chemistry by every game that's being played. But I like what I'm seeing from the top line of Ehlers, Aho, and Jarvis.
And honestly to God, if they can take advantage of the fact that the Panthers are banged up, I could see Carolina representing in the Stanley Cup Finals. I'm not going to guarantee that because I've already guaranteed something today.
Yeah, don't. It's a risky bet because with Florida, you may never know, especially with other teams like Toronto in the mix.
Yeah, Toronto is also good too, although they're kind of snake bit.
Yeah.
That's a big thing with them.
Lightning's always in there. Are the Capitals going to like repeat what they did last year, or are they going to fizzle out a little bit? So we're going to see that too.
The Capitals, in my opinion, were riding a magical ride with Alex Ovechkin trying to chase that record. Now he got it. I don't know if he passed, 900 goals. Did he pass 900?
I don't think he has yet, but it should be a shoo-in.
It should be, because at the time of the season, he was at 897.
So he just needs 3 more.
He needs 3 more. That's all he needs.
Yeah.
He can get that like literally within the first month of the year.
One team that's really surprised me has been the Bruins, though, because we weren't expecting a lot from them, but they're 3-0-1 to begin the year. The one loss coming to the Lightning, but they've largely thrived because of goaltending and special teams. Jeremy Swayman, we were expecting a resurgence from him. Their 5-on-5 has been meh, but their special teams has been impressive. But how we see the Bruins riding out the rest of the year depends largely on how Swayman and David Pastrnak do. But Pastrnak, he's been the superstar in the Bruins, that he's been one of the best in the league, and somehow it still feels like he's underrated.
Yeah, Pastrnak. Oh, the Bruins have been solid for a long time. They made the playoffs last year, but they always seem to be in the mix for something every year. I know, like 2023, they had the number 1 offense in NHL history, scoring more points than anybody, but then they ran into a brick wall in the Panthers.
That was not your ordinary wild card team.
No, it was not. They were on a mission that year. All right, so we're at the bottom of the hour. We're going to get into our sponsor, DAS Technology Consulting. DAS Technology Consulting has over 30 years of IT infrastructure experience under their belt. If you want to know more about how this company can help you with your IT infrastructure needs, take a listen to what happens when you listen to our guy, Chief Sales Officer Darren Sirianni. Take a listen.
Our approach at DAS Technology is simple. At DAS Technology, we offer a very unique approach by providing our clients a single point of contact for all their mission-critical data center demands. DAS Technology Consulting is a global leader in data center services, specializing in delivering cutting-edge, best-of-breed enterprise solutions. With a focus on innovation and reliability, DAS provides worldwide storage, server, and networking solutions that are tailored to meet the evolving demands of the modern data-driven world.
And again, DAS Technology Consulting is the place to be for your IT infrastructure needs. And for that, we thank you, DAS Technology Consulting, so much for your support. Anyway, welcome to hour number 2 of Four Square Sports, episode number 20. That's Sirianni, Alec Nava, Kevin Alex Kovacs. We have a lot of NFL stuff to get to, and this is going to be a juicy hour number 2. We're going to get into a head coaching firing in Tennessee. We're going to get into the Jets and where they stand and where their 0-6 start falls, who's to blame, as well as other coaches in hot water, as well as fresh spreads, winners and losers of Week 6, and so much more. And with that, let's get right into NFL, because we did get the news on Monday. It's official in Tennessee. We have a casualty. Brian Callahan has been fired after his second season and a 1-5 start. Cam Ward was just not getting any better. The offense was just in shambles. The Raiders embarrassed them the game before this week. And unfortunately, Brian Callahan had no answers to this. The locker room had seemingly turned their back on him. And this was the only move that had to be made. Now, Kevin, besides the offense, what wrong did Brian Callahan do besides his development of Cam Ward?
I mean, is everything an answer? Because I feel like even with a new coach in Callahan, I don't think even a coach like him was going to save this team from like really doing anything spectacular. I mean, I feel like the Titans really haven't been good since they got rid of Derrick Henry and AJ Brown and firing Mike Vrabel. I still to this day don't know why they would ever fire Mike Vrabel, because I think he's a pretty good coach. But like, I think it's the culture, honestly. I think the Titans, like whenever those like guys left the system, I think the philosophy kind of changed and the players changed, and it just doesn't mesh well. I mean, like Calvin Ridley, I think he's doing fine there. I mean, like Tony Pollard is kind of a question mark on running back there. Then you have other guys that I think are being underutilized, like Tyler Lockett. I think he's kind of wasting his talent there, if you ask me. And then I know Cam Ward was the number 1 overall pick this past year, but I don't think he really gets talked about too often for being the number 1 pick because of the team that he got drafted to, because no one really bats an eye to the Tennessee Titans, because they really haven't shown you over like recent years that they're a team that can really you can see like do well. And the truth is, I mean, like until it gets to that point, until Cam Ward and company starts to develop more, I don't think you're going to see the Titans like be good for quite some time, because Cam Ward, like God bless him and like his abilities to like throw the football. The offensive line is just not good. Their secondary is just terrible. I mean, like they don't have enough collectively as a team to really get after like other teams that they should probably be beat. But until that happens, it starts from the top. And like I think the coaching, I think Callahan was a scapegoat in all of this, when I think it's just the product on the field. And obviously the coach takes the big brunt of it. And the Titans right now, I think I said this, I think 2 episodes ago, that I think the Titans are probably the worst team in the NFL. I know the Jets exist, but at least the Jets, they have some talent on that team, like Garrett Wilson, Breece Hall, Quentin Williams. They've got talent on that team. And I think like maybe with a better scenarios and some more disciplined coaching wise, I think maybe the Jets could win a couple games here and there. The Titans, I don't see that. I don't see that kind of coaching mentality. I don't see that there's not really much talent on that team as far as I can tell, besides maybe like guys like Calvin Ridley. I know that guy Aomanor, the rookie, looks kind of promising, so he has some potential there. But all in all, I just don't think they mesh together well as a team.
When your rookie quarterback is saying your team is ass, that's when you know things are going bad in press conferences. Alec, what do you make of what's happened in Tennessee, and do you think there's any sort of recovering at all, especially they gotta prep for New England and Mike Vrabel coming back to Tennessee?
It's a raging dumpster fire over at Tennessee. To think Zach Taylor is inept as a head coach, Brian Callahan may be arguably even more inept. When they brought him in to develop Will Levis, Levis took a step back, and Cam Ward's being ruined by this nightmare of a coaching staff. He's in the worst situation possible. Dead last in yards per game, second worst in points per game.
Wow.
Apart from the borderline unwatchable offense, Callahan was abysmal situationally. That drew the ire of every football fan. How are you waiting so long to decide between a punt and a field goal? And right on the edge of field goal range. I mean, make a decision, man. What are you doing? I mean, accident that he was 4-21 as the head coach of one of the most regrettable hires in recent memory. Now, Ward has lobbied for stability in the organization, but where is the stability? It hasn't been there ever since Mike Vrabel and Derrick Henry left. Jeffrey Simmons said the team had one of the worst weeks of practice. And obviously, they're in rebuild mode, so they have no choice but to sell off key players. You have to look like at guys like Kevin Zeitler, Tyler Lockett, Draymond Jones, Roger McCreary. They're all free agents at the end of this season. So you have no choice but to sell them off.
Yeah, it's bad. And their one win was literally when the Arizona Cardinals literally dropped the ball against them. That's how Tennessee got that. I know, Alec.
I'm still angry at the Cardinals to this day for that. I'm not even going to be nice to them the rest of the year.
That's fine. That's valid. But like Tennessee has proven that they are just incompetent. Incompetent ownership, incompetent draft picks, incompetent use of free agency in the offseason. They've literally done nothing to prepare themselves for the season. Cam Ward looks like a shell of himself when he was in Miami. Like, it's just not good.
No.
And now we're going to get into another bad situation, and that's in MetLife Stadium. Not our team. It's the other New York team. It's the Jets. They lost 13-11 in London to fall to 0-6 on the season in Aaron Glenn's first year there. One standout moment in that game for me was it was fourth down with like 20 seconds to go before the half, and the Jets just stood there, tick, 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 and then boom, it went to the half. And you saw Garrett Wilson yelling at Aaron Glenn saying, "What's going on? Why didn't you do what?" Like, it was bad. And the Jets defense, for what's worth, played very well. The problem is their offense was just ineffective. And I don't really care if Justin Fields has not thrown an interception. His touchdown-interception ratio is 4 touchdowns, no picks. I don't care if he hasn't thrown an interception yet. You're getting nothing from the quarterback position. The offense looks lifeless. And Breece Hall is a shell of himself. I think the Jets should just trade Breece Hall away so he can go somewhere else. And now Garrett Wilson's out for a couple weeks. So your 2-star players on offense are bad. The defense looks better than it was under Jeff Ulbrich and Robert Saleh, but still no firepower in this offense at all. And that's what's been killing them. Ever since the week 1 game against Aaron Rodgers, they've just been bad offensively. And unfortunately, I'm not going to say this is Rich Kotite bad like it was in 1996, but this is getting close to Rich Kotite bad.
Mm-hmm.
To think that I was going to think about this team being one of the more fun teams in the league, boy, that take blew up in my face.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, man. Well, if anyone's saying that Justin Herbert's a social media quarterback, you haven't watched Justin Fields play.
No. It's pretty embarrassing.
I mean, I don't really blame, Justin Fields and all that, because like he's running for his life every single play. Like the Jets' offensive line is like just bad, not giving him any time to throw. He's having to scramble almost every play. And I get that Justin Fields hasn't thrown a pick yet, but like Christ Almighty, like you got to give him some protection for like 5 seconds because that old line is just crumbling like I don't know, like crumbling like like turnstiles. There you go, crumbling like turnstiles. And like for what it's worth, I think you're right, man. I think the defense has looked good somewhat, especially in that game against the Broncos. I mean, like you only lost by a couple of points, and you got a safety in there, so the defense has some talent. And especially with guys like Sauce Gardner and Quentin Williams leading the way for the defense. So there is some like potential there. But like offensively, like if you just can't score, if you can't close out games, like the one game that I think that they were close on was that game against the Steelers. And then they couldn't close that out. They let that game get away from them. And now you're seeing the product of what you're seeing on the field here. Now, I understand that it's Aaron Glenn's first year as a head coach, but so far this is not a good first year and a first impression from him at all. Because Jets fan, if you're a Jets fan, you're just tired of this. Like it's come to a point where like I don't even think like a coaching change is going to really help this team. It's going to come from like the players on the field. Can you get a better like offensive line? Like can you get some better people in the secondary, not just Sauce Gardner all the time? Can you get guys that can actually make plays? Like you have guys like Josh Reynolds, like making plays for you as a receiver. Like that shouldn't be happening. And with Garrett Wilson hurt now, you're going to have guys like that to step up. And so I don't know who it's going to be. Maybe it's Josh Reynolds, or maybe it's other guys, or what have you. And Breece Hall, like he's looked okay for the most part, but he's kind of fizzled out like so far this past couple of games. But like if you're the Jets right now, like the Jets, I think are just a fundamentally flawed and broken organization, because the way that they've been ran, like ever since like the Mark Sanchez days, even at that point, like when Rex Ryan was the head coach. I mean, they didn't look spectacular, but at least Rex Ryan, I think, had some semblance of what he wanted to accomplish when he was the head coach of the Jets at the time. And he kind of had a philosophy going, and I think people followed it and followed suit. I don't think Aaron Glenn currently, like with this team, has found that same philosophy since the Rex Ryan days. And I don't think the organization has had that type of mentality since. And I think that's just a big microcosm of the way the Jets are run. And obviously, I think they have to do better, like in terms of like how they draft, because like I know that they drafted Armand Membu, who's looked surprising on defense, and he's looked okay. But I think they're probably going to have a top 3 pick this year. And I think if you're the Jets, like you have to like hit on it, because is Justin Fields really the answer long term? Or are you going to try to go for a rookie quarterback like a Lenore Sellers, like Garrett Nussmeier? If Arch Manning does decide to come into the draft or what have you, are you going to take a chance on them? Because if Justin Fields is going to be the long-term answer, then you're going to need to try to build some pieces around him and try to get some guys who can actually block for him and try to protect him instead of him running for his life. Right. So the Jets, right now, they've got some good things, but most of it is more bad than good.
That's fair to say. That's a fair assessment. So Alec, I'm going to come to you. So usually when an organization is this bad, they point to a fall guy. I think ultimately this is a total team failure, and I think it all falls on the shoulders of Woody Johnson. Would you agree with that?
It all starts with Woody Johnson, because I know for a fact that Aaron Glenn has not the best first impression, but this is Antonio Pierce levels of bad coming from him. And the thing is, he was not an interim coach by any means. No. They hired him for the purpose of a culture change, but turns out that hasn't happened. No, it's nothing that's working. Now you have Garrett Wilson hurt, and the way that Fields is throwing the ball, and with the way Wilson has to adjust to make those catches, it's basically hospital balls. It's only boosting up trade rumors of Breece Hall. One says that I wanted to stay around, and it's just rumors. Well, they're rumors for a reason. You're the only winless team in the league right now. Why do you think it's just rumors? There are rumors for a reason. Now, but at the end of the day, it all goes to show that terrible record that Woody Johnson has as an owner, and that he needs to sell the team first and foremost. Let's remember this. Last year, they were in conversation to trade for Jerry Jeudy, but they decided not to because of Madden rating. When Alan Lazard had literally 5 less Madden rating points than Jeudy, and Jeudy went on to have one of the best games of his career on a revenge game against the Broncos. So, the only way that this improves is if their Madden rating goes up. And how do you improve a team's Madden rating? Sell the team, Woody. It's not that hard.
It really isn't hard to sell a team. He's just been as incompetent as it can get. It's actually kind of embarrassing.
It's very embarrassing on his part. The longer he owns this team, the longer that stain remains.
Big time. All right.
How does he make Aaron Rodgers look like the sane man in the room?
Seriously? How does that happen? Beats me. All right, so now we're going to get into our winners and losers of Week 6. We each pick one winner and one loser for the week. And we're going to start off with Kevin. Kevin, who was your winner and loser of Week 6?
Well, the winner is easy for me. It's the Giants.
Hell yeah.
They're definitely the winner because to do what they did against the Eagles, nobody, including Giants fans, had them winning that game. Not a chance. But when you have guys that you bring in to like give this team a spark and a fire, like Jackson Dart and Cam Scatterbo, who rushed for 3 touchdowns, the defense looked great. The defensive line looked great. The offensive line looked great. Gave Dart plenty of time to throw the ball. And the Eagles, we're questioning now if they're even a good team or not because Saquon didn't do anything. Jalen Hurts barely did anything. It was mainly Dallas Goedert that did the bulk of the offense for Philadelphia. And the secondary was a big question mark in that game. And I think the Giants secondary responded to the Philadelphia's receivers. So I have Giants as a clear winner here for this week, for week 6. Now my loser, and I feel confident saying this, and I'm glad I can say it now, is the Cowboys. They're the losers. How do you lose against the Panthers on the road? Now, listen, I understand that the Panthers have had a few like surprise wins this season with that big win against the Falcons, and you know the Falcons upsetting the Bills and what have you. But Cowboys losing to the Panthers, I think it just goes to show you how truly bad their defense is. Because if you're giving them 30 points to the Panthers, who don't even have that good of a defense, their offense is like hit or miss, and like Bryce Young is in his second or third year in the league. So
Third.
Yeah, it's third year in the league. So if you're the Cowboys, I don't care if you didn't have CeeDee Lamb at the time, if he's coming back now. Like you have guys, you have receivers that are there, but like your defense is awful. It's like they're too one-sided at the Cowboys. Their offense, great. Dak, great. Their running game, fine. Defense, garbage. Can't have it both ways. If you want to have a good team that actually goes far in the season, you need to have a balance of both. And the Cowboys are too one-sided in that regard. And I just laughed at this when I saw the final score. And I'm proud to say that the Cowboys are my loser for this week.
Okay. Before we actually get into more football, Julio Rodriguez just hit a 2-run home run. It's 2-0 Seattle in the first inning over the Blue Jays in Game 3.
Wow, they just come out swinging.
The Mariners just keep on coming.
Like the great Bruno Mars once said, Julio, get the stretch.
Mariners B2A right now. B2A.
My God.
We go.
P to A.
Yeah.
Who is your winner and loser of week 6 in the NFL season?
Oh, excuse me for this.
Oh, boy.
Oh, yeah. There's going to be a running gag from me throughout this month. You know what comes at the last day of October. But this is why we never count out the Kansas City Chiefs. How they were going to answer after losing to the Jaguars was going to be up for question, but this is why we never count them out. And when John said that this is the year that they were done, well, when I said before the year, if you think that last year was the last you'll see at the Chiefs, you're in for a rude awakening. And after an 0-2 start, it was not the end of the world for them. But how they went up against the Lions was certainly impressive. Knowing that the Lions were one of the best offenses in the league, and they just held them to 17 points.
Wow.
And the Chiefs, they know how to hold some of the best offenses in the league in check because they held the Lamar Jackson Ravens to 20 points. Well, technically 13 before Lamar got hurt. But given that Kansas City is rolling out the way they are, it's a nice bounce back for the land famous for barbecue and cold winters. And they're getting Rashee Rice back from suspension.
Yes.
But this offensive explosion against the Ravens wasn't just a flash in the pan. And while we know Baker Mayfield's the MVP frontrunner, Patrick Mahomes is making a legitimate case. This is one of the best offenses in the league, and I can't believe I'm saying that. This may be the best offense they had in 3 years.
Yeah.
And you could realistically see them as a winner of the AFC West for the 10th straight year. Now, for my loser, this one's tough for me because it had to narrow down between Buffalo and Miami, but the way that Buffalo went out against Atlanta, well, I knew that the Falcons were going to be a trap game for the Bills. They said even more of a trap game than the Patriots game. But that was abysmal from Buffalo. They're officially in the same boat as the Eagles are. The Bills are missing a handful of key players, but they're playing very sloppy. The defense is ailing mightily, and they're relying so much on Josh Allen to carry them to the point where his back is breaking from having to carry this team so much. He looked very human against a much improved Falcons defense led by Jeff Ulbrich, who, by the way that the Falcons defense improved has us forgetting that his own son made a prank call, by the way.
Oh, God.
Joe Brady went away from James Cook almost entirely in the fourth quarter. But let's be real. The Patriots are a team that's fighting for a playoff spot. But the Falcons, I'm not lying when I said the Bills are a mirror image of the Eagles this year. Bijan Robinson's having a career year. This game's further proof. Steamrolling past the Bills defense that's been without Matt Milano and rookie first-round pick Maxwell Hairston. And Drake London feasting against them, it was no accident. Sean McDermott, your seat is searing hot.
It's getting warm. It's getting warm. Okay. So my winner of the week, the Chicago Bears. And there's only one reason why. Revenge! Revenge! They went into Washington, the same place where the Hail Mary happened. They came into the Commander Stadium and they beat them. They got vengeance for what happened that ended their season last year, and they looked really good doing it. And Caleb Williams is on pace for 4,000 passing yards right now. That would be a first in Chicago Bears history. They never had a 4,000-yard passer. So Ben Johnson has changed the culture, the complexion of Caleb Williams, and I love the way this team is playing right now, and you can't complain. My loser are the Baltimore Ravens. I know half your defense is hurt. I know Lamar Jackson is hurt. But when you get to the point where your fans are booing your team and you're benching your backup quarterback, and right now John Harbaugh has questions himself, not just Sean McDermott, but John Harbaugh has questions too, that's when you know things have gone down south for Baltimore. And I think the last thing Ravens want are their fans egging them on. So that was my winner and loser. Now it's time for our fantasy update for Foursquare Fantasy 2025. First off, God damn, Lily Schumacher just gets so lucky. How does she do it?
You said it, not me.
How does she do it?
No Dalton Kincaid, but Bijan Robinson and Drake London at the games of their lives.
Seriously.
Bijan, Jacobs, and London, and JSN. She can just win a game by those four
30-point guys, and she had a vacant tight end spot.
Well, now it's up to my guys
Ridiculous.
to put an end to that.
Good luck, Alec. Good luck.
Hopefully, I should have won that week, but whatever.
Hey, listen, she whooped my ass so bad. Listen, I don't like to crown people already, but I think Love Shack might be the front runner to win this whole thing already.
Yeah, we'll see how it
Lily
comes out.
easily is, but there's word that there's help coming up right back on the horizon.
Oh, that's right, CeeDee Lamb.
Yeah. Howdy, partner.
That's right.
Okay, so I have Ritos this week. Should be a competitive matchup. You know, I'm not gonna go into realistic thing. Like Ritos is a good opponent to have. He's tricky sometimes. Bama Girl Underdog has John. Sammy's looking to try and win that one. Alec has Lily, as mentioned, and then Kevin has Motor City Kitties, who's kind of a little bit of a slump right now.
Oh, bless Jake's heart.
Seriously, God bless that young man. Only 17, 18 years old. He's got as big a passion as anyone else in the league right now.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, man.
So here's my roster right now. I got Justin Herbert going because Lamar Jackson and the Ravens are on a bye and Lamar is hurt. I got Breece Hall in there. I got Javonte Williams. I got to replace Puka Nacua because Puka Nacua is hurt. But I got McConkey, Jake Ferguson, which might hinder me because CeeDee Lamb is back. I have Rachaad White in there. I have the Eagles defense. And by the way, if you haven't figured me out already, I change defenses every week. That's my strategy. Like me or
I kind of
either like it or you don't. Okay. And then Brandon Aubrey's my kicker. I I like it so far. I just need someone to replace Puka Nacua for the week. Other than that, I'm set. And then Alex going to get a major boost. CeeDee Lamb is coming back. He's got Baker, Ashton Janty, who's come on strong as of late, Jalen Warren, Devontae Adams, Sam Laporta, Roma Dunze, who I like a lot, Packers D, and Chris Boswell. Any changes, or are you keeping it that way?
Yep. In Boz we trust.
In Boz we trust. And then the hash-slinging slashers. They got Mahomes, Taylor, Quentin Junkins, Justin Jefferson. You're getting Rashee Rice in there for the first time this year. Tyler Warren has been a beast. I like him a lot. Dallas got
He's been
Broncos
really good.
D
Yeah.
and Eddie Pinheiro. How you feel about that roster?
I feel pretty good. Pinheiro has been awesome. I think he got me like 18 points last game. So like Niners get most of their points from field goals anyway. The only one I might switch around is my defense, because I might switch that for the Patriots defense because they're versing the Titans and they're awful.
Yeah.
But the Broncos defense last game kind of won me on my last game, so I have them in there for now. But I don't want them to do good against the Giants, obviously.
Right. I get it.
So I might swap them out for the Patriots defense. I debated on if I wanted to keep Judkins in there and switch him out for maybe Montgomery because he's going Monday, and I like to have a guy play Monday. But he's going against the Dolphins, whose rush defense is not good at all. So I feel like Judkins should be eating in that regard. So I keep him in there for now.
All right, that's fair. Okay, now it's time for one of my favorite segments here. It is time for the segment that got us recognized by Talarcios, and that would be Fresh Spreads. This is where we pick all games based on the spread, and because we're doing this on a Wednesday, we get to finally pick Thursday Night Football. We got to go to a little bit of a quick pace because we got to get to Fresh Fire Fried. But anyway, we're going to start off with Thursday Night Football. Alex, Pittsburgh Steelers at Cincinnati. Steelers -5.5. Alex, we're going to start with you.
All right. Because I know for a fact that the Steelers under Mike Tomlin typically don't do well on Thursday night road games, especially against division opponents. I remember last year's Browns game in the snow for that example.
Yeah.
For that. That's something I don't want to remember about it. But here against Joe Flacco, Mike Tomlin did make some comments about how Andrew Berry was about Andrew Berry and the decision to trade Joe Flacco to a division rival, because Flacco he does know the Steelers well, dating back to his Baltimore days. How he fares in Cincinnati now is up for question because he is getting up there in age, but we know him well. And I'll show you, he knows us well. But here, oh my goodness, not comfortable saying this. I'll say we win this one finally, but we don't cover.
Okay, that's fair. Kev?
Yeah, I think the Steelers win this, and I think they do cover. I think they win by 8 points, and I'll even give you a final score on top of it. I think Steelers win 24-16.
24-16. I want to say the Pittsburgh Steelers win and cover. I think that the Pittsburgh Steelers are more talented. Plus, the Bengals are kind of doo-doo, although they did look better with Joe Flacco at starting quarterback. I just think the Pittsburgh can cover. Next up, we got the London Jags at home in London against the Los Angeles Rams, and the Rams are 3-point favorites. Alec?
No Puka Nacua, but they do have some nice receivers on the outlook. Think of Devontae Adams and Matthew Stafford coming back into the fold. Well, I see Los Angeles pulling this one out in the battle of the former teams of Jalen Ramsey.
Ooh, I like that. Kevin, how are you feeling about this matchup?
Oh, this is going to be a close one. Rams look pretty good, but they haven't been stellar. No Puka Nacua, so it's going to be a little bit tough sledding there. The Jaguars, they look pretty good defensively all season long. They've been a big surprise. And historically, they've done pretty good whenever they do travel in international games, especially in London. I know that they play really well in London. So based on that alone, I have the Jaguars winning and covering those 3.5 points. So go Jacksonville.
Okay. I love the fact that that's bloody brilliant that we all did a British accent for this one, because this game is indeed in London. I'm going to go with the Los Angeles Rams here. I know they will not have Puka Nacua, but I will say that this offense is very competent even without him. And I think that Jacksonville is not too good against the Rams, even though they are technically the home team. Okay, next up, we got the New Orleans Saints at the Chicago Bears. Bears are a 5-point favorite. Alec.
Chicago wins and covers this one. Good. The Orleans is going to find ways to make this interesting, as they've done time and time, because they did make it interesting against the Patriots last week, and it does speak to how Kellen Moore is as a head coach.
It does. All right, Kevin.
Yeah, I think contrary to that, I think this could possibly be a trap game for the Bears in this sense, because I think Kellen Moore, despite what the record shows, I think he has I think he's still a good head coach because he has been close with a bunch of teams, just unable to finish. But the Bears are a different story because I feel like with Ben Johnson as their new head coach, I think that they really have found like a different identity, and I think they're sticking with it with Caleb Williams. I'm on the same boat with Alec. I think Bears win, but I think they barely cover.
Okay. I'm going to say the Bears then cover as well, although this could be close when it comes to the spread. So I'm going to say the Bears win and barely cover.
Yeah.
Next up, we got a slugfest game here between 2 1-5 teams. We got the Miami Dolphins at the Cleveland Browns. Browns are a 2.5-point favorite. Alec?
When the Browns are a favorite, everything has gone south for the Dolphins. This team lives and dies by Mike McDaniel. It was the first thing that they live by in his coaching tenure. He's the first thing that they're dying by too. When he tried to explain to us post-game comments, all he showed that he's a parody of himself now. He's lost the locker room and going up against a team that also has their head coach is slowly losing the locker room and that the offensive philosophy is all falling apart. And you're starting Dylan Gabriel. This could go either way, but when you lose to a team that is dysfunctional offensively but is shutting you down defensively, which I'm predicting will happen. Yes, I'm predicting the Browns' victory. When you lose to that team, you've lost the plot.
Okay, Kev?
Yeah, I'm in the same boat. I got the Browns here, and I think they do cover, but just barely. I think it'll come down to rush defense. I feel like the Browns, they do pretty good defensively against the rush, as we have seen this season, albeit like I think their secondary is definitely questionable at best. But Miami's run defense is terrible. So that's the big reason why I started Judkins like in fantasy, because I know how bad Miami's rush defense is. So I think because of that, I'm going to pick the Browns.
All right, I'm going to pick the Browns as well. I think they cover -2.5. Next up, we got, oh boy, this is going to be a bloodbath. The Patriots at the Titans. Patriots only a 7-point favorite. Alec?
Well, meet your new head coach, Tennessee. His name's Mike McCoy. You may remember him from when he was the head coach of the San Diego Chargers when they had Phillip Rivers. Spoiler, they didn't do particularly good at that time when McCoy was the head coach.
No.
So this is reading of Mike Vrabel in Tennessee is going to lead to another statement by Vrabel and Drake May. Well, Patriots win, cover, and there's going to be another post from UNC eFootball social media account about Drake May, despite warnings from Bill Belichick.
Oh, that's a good one. I like that. Kev?
Yeah, this should be a Mike Vrabel revenge game. I feel like Patriots should easily win and easily cover that spread. I think they could win by 24 points. I think it's going to be that dominant.
It could be ugly, folks. This game could be ugly. Patriots all the way. And by the way, they're in first place in the AFC East for the first time since 2019.
What year is it? We have the Patriots, Chargers, Colts, and Steelers first place in their AFC conferences.
That's
at
nuts.
the same time. Are we in 2007?
We could be. We could be. We took
I wish it was 2000. That means the Giants are a good team.
Yes, that's right. That's right.
I mean, we're reliving the days of Manning, Brady, Rivers, and Ben all over again.
That's crazy. I remember that draft class. Please, Eli Manning, get in the Hall of Fame this year.
He better.
Absolutely. All right, next up, we got the Raiders and the Chiefs at Arrowhead. Chiefs are a 12-point favorite. Alec?
I don't even need to do the running gag this time around. I mean, when the spread is that much, there's this general consensus that this is going to get ugly. You have Rashee Rice coming back to Kansas City. Yep. They're winning. They're covering. And, the Raiders, prayers.
R.I.P. Kev?
I say Chiefs win, easily cover. I say they win by 15.
Okay. All right. It's alive! It's alive! Chiefs all the way, and they cover. Raiders, rest in peace.
Man, we're going with the Halloween theme with the Chiefs, aren't we?
I mean, it is October. I mean, we can do whatever we want.
Yeah, we can. I mean, Frankenstein's monster is back.
Next up, we got the Eagles at the Vikings. We might see J.J. McCarthy back. Eagles are favored by 2. Alec?
I mean, the Eagles, they are falling through here. I mean, I did say they and the Bills are mirror images of one another. The way that they've played is really troublesome. They should be good to go defensive. Oh, wait. Zadarius Smith retired, and he was the team leader in sacks. Oof. So now they lose a bunch of their defense. Well, no worries. Jalen Carter and Jordan Davis should do the job up front. And Quinyon Mitchell should do the trick. Now, if only the offense can go right, then they can go right. It's not like you're going to have a revenge game from Carson Wentz. So that's why I'm picking the psych. I'm going to Vikings out of spite.
Oh, Kev?
I'm going the Vikings too, out of spite as well. I don't care. Vikings.
I'm going out of spite as well. Vikings plus 2.
I
don't care. I do not care.
Yeah. Like Mike Tomlin once said, we do not care.
And I said that quote last episode. All right, next up, this is the line's been flipping back and forth. Panthers and Jets. Panthers are a 1.5 point favorite, although it's been flip-flopping between the two teams.
Bro, how is it being flip-flopped all around when the Jets are dysfunctional around? Now, do keep in mind, all the Panthers' losses came on the road, and all their wins came at home. So there could be a realistic chance that the Panthers get their first win on the road here and prove to 4-3, though it's a deceiving 4-3 if that were to happen.
Yeah.
But then again, it could be progress, but you have to take the wins where you can take them. The Jets are a bad team, and the Panthers, we don't know what to expect of them, but they have a bad defense. Their offense has some nice talents to see. Dave Canales seems to be making the most out of his offense, but you need improvement for the defense. But with the Jets being this bad, you should have no problem up against the Jets. So I might have to. I don't have splinters, but nonetheless, wow.
Oh my God. All right, Kev.
Panthers win, but I think they barely cover. I think by a field goal only.
I think the Panthers barely cover as well. The fact that this has been flip-flopping is very strange to me because the Jets are not that good, and they don't have Garrett Wilson. I think this is going to be a bloodbath. Next up, we got the Colts at the Chargers. Chargers are 1.5 point favorite against the fighting Daniel Joneses. Alec?
Oh, wait! What? The Colts and Chargers?
Yeah.
Oh, okay, because I thought you mentioned Giants and Broncos at first, but we'll get to that in a moment. But Colts and Chargers, that's been back and forth. The Chargers are coming off a game-winning drive up against the Dolphins, in which it might be breaking the Dolphins more so. But the Chargers, this is why you need Joe Alt, because this game's going to be close. But the absence of Joe Alt looms large for the Chargers' offensive line. There's an argument that I can make here in which he's their second most important player on that offense behind Justin Herbert, now that Rashawn Slater's out for the year. But you need Alt badly. Here against the Colts, it's going to be tough, but home field advantage is the difference factor. Jay Herbo pulls this one out. A game-winning drive.
Nice. All right, Kevin.
Yeah, I'm in the same boat. It's a little tough to call, but I think the Chargers barely cover this. So the Colts should make it interesting, but I feel like the home field advantage is definitely a big factor here. And I think that for the Chargers, I mean, I think they got to get Keenan Allen going more because he really has been that productive the last few games as opposed to the first 3 games of the season. So I think they got to get him going a little bit. I do like that the new running back that they brought in, a Vidal, whatever his name is, in place of an injured Omari. I thought he ran the ball great last week. I expect him to run the ball again great this week as well. But the Colts are going to make it close. But I'll see Chargers win but barely, maybe by a couple.
You know what? I'm proud of Daniel Jones. Give me the plus 1.5. I'm taking the Colts. All right. Next up, we got a division matchup. My bad. We got to get to Giants at Broncos. Broncos are a 7 point favorite.
All right, so just before that, we do have an update. Andres Jimenez is tied it with a home run. It's a 2-run blast over to right field.
Oh, wow.
They
So
needed
that's
that.
2-2. That's crazy. All right, the Blue Jays kind of needed that. Anyway, Giants and Broncos. Broncos by 7. Alex?
All right. This is the toughest test for Jackson Dart and Cam Scadaboo, but they passed the first test up against this reigning defending Super Bowl champions in the Philadelphia Eagles. Now you're going to Mile High, up at that atmosphere, and they say rookie quarterbacks typically haven't fared well facing the Broncos at Mile High, but the Giants can make this possible. And Bo Nix is lucky that he hasn't been facing much criticism after that putrid display at London up against the Jets, because that was more of a defensive victory, if anything. He's lucky that he's not getting talked about a lot. But coming back here, I think it's going to be a fairly even battle now. Do the Broncos win? I'll say yes. Do they cover? No. I think they'll pull this out by 1 point.
Okay, so the Broncos don't cover. Kevin?
Yeah, I think Broncos should win this one easily. Psych! Giants are going to win, and they're going to win outright. Yes, I'm going to say it right now. They're going to win outright because, to Alex's point, they barely beat a bad Jets team by only a couple points. The Jets defense shut down their best receiver in Cortland Sutton and their best rusher in J.K. Dobbins. And now, after that, I was already a little bit critical about that before that game. But after seeing that, I'm like, I've got more confidence now that the Giants defense can do far better than that. If the Jets can do that and get a safety, shut down Sutton and Dobbins, and with the way that they're playing with Dart and Scadaboo, if they continue to play well and just no penalties and no turnovers to play a clean game of football, then I think they can easily beat the Broncos in this sense. Do they cover? I don't know. I think that they win by 7 points. I would say.
So they
Broncos.
push.
Yeah, the Broncos defense is tough though. They got a good secondary. I think they got one of the top defenses in the league, so they're definitely going to be pretty tough. So I'm not going to discredit Denver there, but I think Giants absolutely from the way that the Broncos played against the Jets, I feel like Giants can definitely win this and pull it off. So I'm going to say Giants.
I'm going to say the Giants win outright. I feel it. I feel it. Even though the altitude is an issue, I don't care at all. Believe me. That's like my phrase now. Fresh breads, I don't care. Anyway, we got the Commanders and the Cowboys. The Washington Commanders are a 2-point favorite on the road, Alec.
First, what a catch by Victor Robles. Second, Washington all the way. Dallas' defense is bad, and they're right for the picking from the Commanders.
All right, Kevin.
Yeah, I got the Commanders too. I think both of these teams are going to play angry because both of them lost. Like Cowboys obviously to the Panthers, and Commanders just losing one against the Bears by 1, and the Bears getting their revenge. I think both teams are going to play with a fire. But obviously, when you're going up against the Dallas Cowboys defense that is garbage, I feel like Commanders, this is a get-right game for them. So I'm going to say Commanders win. And 1.5 point spread, that's too low. I feel like they should be winning by at least 10 points here.
I'm going to say Commanders cover easily. Next up, we got the Packers at the Cardinals. The Packers are a 6.5 point favorite. I can only imagine where Alec is going with this.
I said I'm not even going to be nice to the Cardinals. I mean, when you lost to the Titans, you disgraced the entire league. You disgraced your own name. You disgraced your own coaching staff. You broke your own players. You broke the coaches. You broke whatever culture you have over there. You just disgraced everything to your name with that one loss to the Titans. Just, you know what? I'm not even going to be nice. Packers by 3 touchdowns. I'm not even going to be nice to them.
Oh, damn. Kev?
Tell us how you really feel, Alec.
Yeah.
Fred?
Yeah, I'm the same way. Packers, I think that they should be winning fairly easily. I'll say 17 points they'll win by.
I'll say Packers by 14. Next up, we got the Falcons and the Niners. This is Sunday Night Football. Niners a 2-point favorite. Alec?
For some reason, San Francisco has had trouble with Atlanta over the last few years. I don't know how that is, but it's a phenomenon, which is strange enough. But here it's at San Francisco. But you know what? Atlanta's been looking improved over the last few games. The 49ers, they'll be up there, but injuries are the one thing that's holding them back. But every team deals with injuries. Fred Warner's down, George Kittle's down. When they wish for Christian McCaffrey to be healthy, they wish on a monkey's paw. And now everyone else is hurt. And so for that, I'm going to say Atlanta wins.
Okay, Kevin.
Yeah, I'm the same way. I like Atlanta in this matchup, not just because of how many injuries the Niners have, but also because of the way that the Falcons have been playing recently. And getting that win against the Bills, I think, was a big statement win for them. And I do expect that the playmakers are going to go off again, like Bijan, Alec was alluding to earlier, is having a career year. And Drake London has looked really good. And I think Michael Penix is finally starting to get his flow and rhythm with the meshing well with his team. So I'm going to say Falcons win by maybe 6 points here. I really like the Falcons here to upset.
The Falcons seem like they're really good in primetime games. They proved it last year, and they proved it this year so far. I'm going to take the Falcons +2. Next up, we got 2 Monday night games once again. We got the Buccaneers at the Lions. The Lions are 5.5-point favorite. No Brian Branch for this one. Alec?
Brian Branch had it coming when he fought Juju Smith-Schuster at the end.
Yeah, that wasn't smart.
Yeah, that was not smart at all. Up against the Buccaneers, I know Baker Mayfield's the MVP frontrunner, but they don't call Jahmyr Gibbs and David Montgomery Sonic and Knuckles for no reason. That the Bucs defense is good, but can they be good enough to hold this duo in check? Plus, what happens when Jared Goff comes alive and connects with Amon-Ra St. Brown and Jameson Williams? So it could be a shootout. Who knows? But you know, Baker's going to make this close. The Lions ultimately pull it out, but it's by a field goal. Tampa Bay covers.
So Tampa Bay covers. Kevin?
Yeah, I got the Lions in this one too, but I think the Lions cover in this case. And keep in mind with the Buccaneers, they got no Mike Evans, no Bucky Irving, and no Emeka Egbuka. So that's a big blow to them. I think this might be a Sterling Shepard game, if you ask me. So with that being said, I think Rachaad White's going to carry the ball well, and I think Sterling Shepard might have a nice breakout game with those guys with Egbuka hurt. So I think that the Lions are going to take full advantage of that. I know they're not going to have Brian Branch, but I think they're going to build momentum off of their last. They're going to build momentum and have a get right game. Losing to the Chiefs, I think they're going to have play angry and aggressive. Meanwhile, the Bucs, I think we're going to take a step back a little bit without having a guy like Egbuka. So I'll say Lions win by a touchdown.
Okay, I'm going to say the Lions barely cover on this one. I think not having Brian Branch is going to hurt, but I think they barely cover. And last but not least, we got the Houston Texans at the Seattle Seahawks, and the Seahawks are a 3-point favorite. Alec?
We probably know where this is going. Seattle wins this one, and whether or not the Mariners advance, Seattle should be plenty motivated regardless. With Sam Darnold's play, Jackson Smith and Jigba emerging as wide receiver 1, and some of the other options around you. Torrey Horton, Elijah Arroyo, they look good too. So Seahawks win this one.
Seahawks? Okay. Kevin?
Seahawks easily cover this one. They win 27-6.
All right. I'm going to say the Seattle Seahawks cover as well easily. I think the Texans are still trying to search for something, and I think this is not the game to do so. All right. So those are our fresh spreads for Week 7. We will post the results on our next episode. And anyway, it's time for my favorite segment, ladies and gentlemen. It's time for Fresh, Fine, or Fried, the take where one of us goes 2.5 minutes full on take mode about what is on our minds. Kevin is on the hot seat this week. At the end of your 2.5 minute take, we will rate you on a scale of fresh, fine, or fried. Fresh meaning good, fine meaning okay, or fried meaning, whew, dude, what have you been eating? Kevin, 2.5 minutes. Are you ready?
Yep.
Ready? Go.
Okay, so my Fresh, Fine, or Fried is going to be about Shohei Ohtani. Now, I have nothing against Shohei Ohtani, the player, the person, but I have a problem with how the social media, with how the media portrays him. And the way that they portrayed him yesterday in particular, in the Brewers game, they were sugarcoating him to oblivion. Like, Ohtani is 1 for 23 with 11 strikeouts since the Dodgers wildcard series, and nobody wants to mention it. The media doesn't want to mention it. And Brian Anderson, whenever he was having his first at bat, is like, although he's won for his last 22, he did have a couple of intentional walks and like drove in a run. And like they're trying to twist it into something that like call Ohtani's postseason for what it is. It's not good. And you know what I'm sick and tired of? The way that he gets treated as opposed to Aaron Judge. Can you imagine like if Aaron Judge put up the kind of stats that Ohtani's doing right now in the postseason? He would get obliterated. Everybody would keep talking about it and like how awful he was because everyone's saying, Judge this, Judge that. He's terrible in the postseason. He's terrible with that. Well, if you look at both of their stats in the postseason, Judge's postseason stats are better than Ohtani's. Ohtani's is worse. Judge's career postseason is 236, on-base percentage of 346, 822. Ohtani's is 200 career postseason, 339 OBP, 707 OPS. I'm tired of the media disrespecting Aaron Judge whenever he does a little minute thing wrong, but they always act like Ohtani is God's gift to baseball. Whenever he does bad in the postseason, it must be nice to be on a team where you can just sit back and not do well at all hitting-wise and have guys like Tommy Edman, Mookie Betts, Freddie Freeman, and Teoscar Hernandez carry the weight for you. Meanwhile, Aaron Judge has to carry his team and put on the best postseason with no help. So I don't like it how the media always portrays Ohtani as if he's like the golden boy of the Major League Baseball simply because he can pitch too. That's not Aaron Judge's fault. And I don't like it when they – can you imagine if Ohtani was on the Yankees, how different his perception would be? I'm curious to hear your guys' thoughts on that, but that's all I got to say.
Okay. First off, the Blue Jays took the lead, by the way. 3-2. Alec, fresh fine and fried.
That to me sounds fresh as it is because as Shohei Ohtani, of course, dazzling talent, at least in the regular season. He had the 50-50 season. First player ever to do that. But in the postseason, this year, it's not been the case. He has as the players is coming around him and to make up for the damage that has been done. Now, he has yet to show up in the later two rounds. But here, oh my goodness. Do you think that would be 200 exact? Now, at the same time, I'm watching the Blue Jays take the lead 5-2 as it is. But
my God.
And finally, they woke up. But here Ohtani is basically getting carried around by his teammates. Judge, he has to do the work batting-wise. But that was especially true at the ALDS up against Toronto when the only other help he's received in Game 4 was Ryan McMahon. And by the time the rest of the bats showed up, it was well too late to make a difference. Now, Ohtani, he is an MVP winner, but that's a regular season award. Now, but the way that he's getting treated, I don't know how much people are getting paid to say all the narratives that they're saying, but what it is, that's not a good look media-wise for anyone else talking about Ohtani. Because Mookie Betts, he had the game of his life in the first round. It's the MVP of that NLDS against Philadelphia. You could make an argument that was Roki Sasaki, not Freddie Freeman, not Mookie Betts, not Teoscar Hernandez, Roki Sasaki, their closer. And now in the NLCS, as you have Freddie Freeman finally coming alive with a home run, Mookie Betts is picking up the work, and Teoscar Hernandez is showing why he's kept around on the outfield. It's because of his power bat. But man, do better, media.
All right, fresh as the daisy. I can't stand it. The way Ohtani's getting the credit. And you know how we get this whole media stuff with Patrick Mahomes and Josh Allen from Chris Collinsworth on NBC when they call, Patrick Mahomes, this is just how special he could be. I can't stand it with Ohtani. Ohtani could be batting 0-4, and people still talk about how great he is. I get it. He's great. He's a former world champion, and he can do everything. But you know what? I can't stand it how they hype him up and not do the same for Aaron Judge. Aaron Judge has been grinding his ass off to get to the Yankees to where they are right now. Ohtani's on a team full of stars, so it makes no sense that you're hyping up a guy who's spoiled. That's what Ohtani is. He's spoiled with talent around him. Judge is literally carrying everything on that Yankees team. He's carrying that fan base, that team, that organization. It's on his shoulders. Ohtani's giving everything on a golden spoon, and he's just eating it. That's what's annoying. I respect Ohtani. I respect his game. I respect that he's a champion. I respect he's a former MVP. But come on, man. Like, seriously, just stop. Plus, you also have mentioned the Ipe Mizuhara scandal that he should have been a part of but got away with. Yep. We're just going to ignore that. We're just gonna ignore all that. We're just gonna ignore the fact that he was given like deferred payments, that he wasn't paid properly.
Are we also going to ignore the fact that he's batting 147 this postseason?
Seriously, and Judge bats 500. I was like, okay,
147.
147. Get out of here. Seriously.
For someone who once was an MVP, not the best kind of look for someone who once was one. Now, yes, he did win the AL and he wanted the NL, but man, this is awful stuff coming from him. Best player in baseball, my butt.
Seriously, thank you. Thank you. That was the best thing I heard all show. All right, so now we're going to get into our partner. We're going to talk about MyCamp Solutions and Octagon Payments. MyCamp Solutions and Octagon Payments is a wholesale credit card company located in the state of Arizona that can give you amazing rates without signing a long-term contracts and ultimately amazing customer service to boot. If you don't believe me, listen to this boxing ad that I created myself. Take a listen.
Hey, I'm Matt Sirianni, and I'm a quarter of Foursquare Sports. And if you don't know me by now, I'm all about Octagon Payments and MyCamp Solutions. MyCamp Solutions is the only wholesale credit card company that will give you amazing processing rates without signing a long-term contract. And along with outstanding customer service, this company is a betting favorite against anyone you put in front of them. So sign up today. Go to www.mycampsolutions.com or www.octagonpayments.com and apply now. MyCamp Solutions. It's a first-round knockout.
I can do a pretty good spinning back elbow, by the way. So, little fun fact. I actually used to do mixed martial arts when I was 4 years old. That was how I got the background to do a boxing ad.
Oh, nice.
And let's just say, for all intents and purposes, I could do a split. I'm not going to do one on here because why would I? It's not necessary.
I can't do that. I can't do that.
Alec,
No.
you can't do that?
No.
Oh, my God.
I can put my foot behind my ears, but I can't do a split.
I actually also do men's gymnastics when I was 10 years old. I used to have a pretty athletic background. Now I just work out and strength train for my in my free time.
There you go.
Also, I also want to mention I was on a golf outing not too long ago for a charity called I forget, Bright Love by the Sea, which is a charity for kids who have cancer. I was at that golf outing. I can't swing for my life. I'm terrible driving the ball. But
yeah, it's all in the hips. It's so stiff.
I'm so stiff. I treat it as if I'm swinging a baseball bat. But like, it's all great stuff, and I'm not going to be there for these charities. And I'm talking to Talarcios as soon as I get back from Alabama. Like, that's one thing that's going to happen.
Oh,
and who knows? Maybe they might make the Foursquare sandwich.
Oh yes, there you go.
Now, here's my Foursquare sandwich. It would have to be like beef. It would have to be like pastrami. It would have to be. Like, it would be 4 different meats and 4 different cheeses with onions, and with it has to be grilled. It has to be like fried, of a butter fried. Oh, that'd be so good.
Okay, all right.
And I I know the guy. I've never been inside Talercia's, but I know the guy who runs the place. So that should be an interesting conversation for when I come back from Alabama. I'll be eating collard greens for the next
Make
couple
it
days.
happen, Talercia's.
I'll make it happen till our shows. We're counting on you. Anyways, from Alec Nava and Kellen Comics, I'm Matt Sirianni. God bless you all. Thank you so much for watching this episode. This will go up as soon as possible, actually, because I will not be around on Sunday to do it. But anyway, this has been Foursquare Sports, which is sports at score. Take care, everybody. Have a good night.
Hi, everybody. Christopher Mad Dog Russo here. And you know what I do? Foursquare Sports on Sunday nights, 6 to 8, with all those parts of the country taken care of. Listen all the time. You got it. Mad Dog on Mad Dog Unleashed. Listen to my guys. Listen to my guys.